Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. It is Heart DFS. If you're new to the channel, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Do appreciate all your support. I make daily NBA price pick videos as well as daily NBA slate breakdowns on Draftkings. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like button and subscribe. Do appreciate it. Appreciate it. Also follow me on Twitter, Heart DFS. Trying to engage you guys more there. Putting up my core plays, my price pick extra plays, tweeting out stuff, answering the questions. As you can see yesterday, or in my video 2 days ago for the games yesterday, talked about doing a dart throw on Danny Green. Really worked out. Yesterday was just a very frustrating day, as we can look back in my lineup here. In the big 100K to first, we were on a nice little hot streak with the core plays, and then Chris Paul decided to ruin it. He had 7 points and 7 turnovers in the first half. The most turnovers he's ever had in a half in his career. Chris Paul. After coming off, 3 great games in a row, he just absolutely fails us at 32% ownership, 26 fantasy points. Just the most frustrating thing ever. Talked about Brunson, how I really liked him in that buyback opportunity, buyback spot. 42 fantasy points, did great. Jimmy did great, 9,300, slightly low owned. 50 fantasy points. Tobias Harris was horrible. Still got us 37 fantasy points, 4-13 shooting. Obviously, he did kind of rebound more and get more assists due to that, poor shooting. But, okay. DeAndre Ayton absolutely screwed us. Campaign was horrendous. Danny Green, did well. And then I had 3,500 to work with. I decided to take a shot on Dedmon, and it didn't work out. It was looking good after the first game. I had Butler, Tobias, Danny Green, and Dedmon. So even with that, I was sitting at I think 142 fantasy points. I was already winning $50. I was in the top 2,500 lineups. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a great night. Brunson's gonna do a thing. Paul's gonna do his thing. Maybe Aiden's gonna do his thing as well. And then all we need is 10 to 15 fantasy points from Payne, and I'm cashing at least 2-3 times, if not even more. And what happens? Paul has his worst game ever. Brunson does his thing, but then Aiden doesn't really do much. Payne does nothing, and then I just fall out of cash, and I miss it by 10. So very frustrating night last night. Hot streak came to an end, but looking to get back into it today. We kind of got screwed with the plays. The winning lineup yesterday, I'll show you guys. Was repeated by 5 people, but it was Maxey, Bullock, Green, and Crowder, who had a career game. That was pretty frustrating. Decided not to play him yesterday. Super high owned, and obviously went for 40 fantasy points. Kleber, 3 blocks, really. He had a ceiling game at 4,400, also extremely high owned. I just don't get it. They're both high owned. You'd hope for them not to do well if you didn't play them. Obviously, they just screwed me. Brunson, Bridges, and then Luka. So nothing too crazy, not really a high scoring slate. There's only 2 games, so the odds of it getting above 300 is going to be low unless, everyone's hitting, crushing. But yep, that was it for yesterday. Looking to get back on the streak today. Also, the last thing I want to say is I'm a game early on Jimmy rebounds and Tobias. Tobias got 8 rebounds in the first half. Really? Jimmy gets 6 in the first half, finishes with 9. Super frustrating on that terms. But moving on to the games for today, we have Boston, Milwaukee. Random fact, both home teams won yesterday. The Mavs and then who else was playing? Oh, and then the Sixers. In both games were kind of blowout-y-ish. There's multiple times where the lead was 10 to 15 for both sides for the 76ers and for the Mavs. So maybe that streak continues today. That's just a random fact wanted to bring up. So then maybe Milwaukee and Golden State win by a bunch today. But let's get into it. Tatum 10K. Really like him for today. Has done well. Pretty much the whole playoffs, the whole season. Jaylen Brown is $2,000 cheaper. It's just with Jaylen Brown, he's one of those guys that can start off extremely, extremely hot and just do nothing the second half. We saw that in this past game. The whole team, all the usage was literally going to Jaylen Brown. They were feeding him everything. He was hitting everything. And I think he had like 40 fantasy points at half, and then finished the game or I think he had 41 at half, and then finished the game with only 13 fantasy points in 2 quarters. So that's just kind of the downside of Jaylen Brown. He is very hot and cold. Also, a little risky, just because at the end of the last game, he was grabbing his right hamstring a couple times. He also checked out at one point, came back in and played, but then he was grabbing at it. So there might be a slight risk of him re-injuring that. But otherwise, I like both of them at the top a lot. Marcus Smart, it's probable, should see his normal run. I know people will probably not go to him just because that questionable tag, and they're going to think he's, still injured, still a little bit hurt. It was the quad, so it wasn't like it's something extremely important. Now I know he sat out because of it, but I think it was just precautionary. He got hit like 8 times in the quads. It's probably just hard for him to even run. But expect him to be back to his normal self, close to 38 minutes, kind of doing a little bit of everything. So have a decent amount of interest in Marcus Smart for today. Al Horford, really like him, 5,900. It just, comes down to minutes thing. Sometimes if he's in foul trouble, he's going to get you, a little bit less than 30 minutes. But if he's staying out of foul trouble, they want him to guard Giannis a good amount of times. He's going to play, close to 40 minutes. And if he's playing close to 40 minutes, he's going to do a little bit of everything. 4 steals is obviously a little bit of an outlier, but you can expect probably close to 35 fantasy points, maybe 40 if he's playing well. And that's really all you need from it for 5,900. So I have a good amount of interest from pretty much the whole starting 5 on the Boston side. Really like Robert Williams. He'll continue to be low owned. His minutes are kind of, sitting in the mid-20s. I do expect it to start going up a little bit more. He's been in a little bit of foul trouble. The game flow really hasn't been the best for him. You'd expect a lot of pick and rolls, open opportunities for him to kind of get dunks, putbacks. Really hasn't been there in this game, in this series for him yet, but I do really like him as that low-owned play from the Boston side that not a lot of people are going to be on. And he does have huge upside. He can get you 40 fantasy points in 25 minutes. Like, his upside is wild. He could even get you a little bit more than 40. So, really like him at 4,800. Grant Williams, I just hate this dude. He's a great defender, but really 21, points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 35 minutes, 33 fantasy points. I mean, it's one of those things. He's a decent value play at 4,200. He's going to get the minutes because he's been doing very well guarding Giannis. So it just comes down to if he's hitting his threes. Obviously, he's a good 3-point shooter. I think he was like top 5 in the league for this season. But the usage is just not there. Like, what if he has, what if he plays 33 minutes, but only goes, 3 of 7, 7 points, 5 rebounds, 16 fantasy points, 4,200. It's not going to kill you, but it's really not going to help you out. So, don't mind him as value today. I just don't like playing him personally. With Marcus Smart back, Derek White will probably go back down to about 10 to 12 minutes. Pritchard will probably see 5 to 8 minutes. So, when I go to any of those guys, I just really like the starting 5. I do think I'm going to throw in Robert Williams, at least for now, in my core. Moving on to the Bucks side, Giannis 11-5. Looks great. Obviously he's done horrendous shooting the ball against Boston, 9 of 25, 11 of 27. Still has gotten you there, 64 fantasy points, 51. He's going to do everything, so I don't mind getting, paying up for Giannis. It's just if you can find the value you want to pay for him. If not, I'd say go the mid-range route. That's definitely going to be the route to go today. Drew Holiday looks great, 8-1. The second-hand man to Giannis. Didn't do that well last game. Obviously, they got blown out. Still played 40 minutes, shot the ball 20 times. So if they're going to keep this game, close, or if they're going to win it, it's going to be because of Drew and Giannis. Most likely. Now, there could be one of those things where the whole team does well, but it's mostly going to come from Giannis and Drew. Middleton obviously still out. Bobby Portis, 6,100. Looks like an okay play. The minutes came down a little bit last game, obviously due to the blowout. They didn't really roll with them in the third quarter. They kind of got phased out, but do expect to see, close to his, normal range of about 30 to 33 minutes, about 12 shots. So I think you can, safely pencil him in for about 32 to 35 fantasy points. Again, at 6,100, not bad, especially if you pair that with like Al Horford. So don't mind going there. Brook Lopez, I want to do it. He started off hot in that Chicago series, back-to-back games, 27 fantasy points, 36, and then pretty much has fallen off. He's going to see about 20 to 25 minutes. I just don't see how he gets there. Boston is just a little too quick for him, so he's just going to get phased out of the game plan. Grayson Allen, don't mind going back to him. He's going to be super low owned because he just absolutely busted last game. Only shot the ball 4 times. Before that, he was shooting the ball extremely well, doing really well. So I know a lot of people are going to be scared just because of the box score watching. They're going to see, oh, he did horrible last game. 28 minutes, only shot the ball 4 times, 11 fantasy points. Price came down $200, so I don't mind going to him. Wes Matthews plays, but not worth taking a shot on. Pat Connaughton looks like a great value play. I'm sure he'll be close to 50% owned today. Obviously, doesn't have too high of a ceiling, but at 3,400, if he's hitting shots, he can get you like that Danny Green range of like mid-20s, close to 30 fantasy points if he's playing well. So at 3,400, obviously a lot of people are going to play him today. And then Javon Carter with, I think, where is he? George Hill is probable. So it looks like George Hill will probably take Javon Carter's minutes. Not sure as of right now, but don't think I'd get to either one of them. As of right now, probably just play Connaughton as the value, and then Grayson, and then just play one of the 2 main guys, and then maybe Bobby. Memphis Golden State will be the most popular, obviously. They've been, 2 close games. The most free-flowing when it comes to offense. So John Morant's going to be extremely popular. I've talked to him in the past 2 games that you guys should play him against the Golden State Warriors defense. Obviously, they've tried to switch stuff off of him every time, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. He's been able to do what he wants. I do expect a little bit of a regression game. Obviously, he's not shooting the ball that well. From 3, he's doing pretty decent, which is not normally like him. The weird feeling I have about this game, I think Golden State's going to blow him out by like 25 plus. I think, Golden State at home, I have this feeling that they're going to blow him out by like 25 plus. Steph's going to go for like 30. Clay might go for like 28 to 30. And then Draymond might get that poor man's triple-double of like 10, 10, and 10. I just have that weird feeling that this is going to happen. So really, really like Ja. Obviously, he's done very well in this situation. So if you want to do that, do that. But I might play for the blowout, which is obviously something I don't advise to do because you never should do that. But I just have a weird feeling that this game is going to be a classic Golden State Warrior game where they come out and they hit every 3. So that's what I'm going to go with. But in terms of just DFS advice, obviously don't do that. But really like Ja. Really like Desmond Bane and bounce back opportunity. I'm one of those guys who always buys back on the guys who have been doing terrible. As you can see, the past 2 games, it's been brutal. His back injury is, the main cause of it. I know last game, it really affected him. He kind of started to pick it up a little bit in the last half, but sat out for a lot of the game as well. But yeah, I don't mind going him at 6,400. I know a lot of people are not going to be on him just because of that back injury, the 2 bad games, but I do think the extra day off and rest really helped him. And unless he tweaks it, I do think he's going to be back to normal. So I do really like him. Clarkson does have a ceiling, as you can see, but that's only if he's shooting extremely well. Usually shoots the ball okay, so it's one of those, the same thing. It's like him, Horford, Bobby, all pretty much the same price. All could either get you, 25 fantasy points, or they could get you, 40 plus if they're playing really well. So don't mind on them, but I'd rather pay down for a guy like Clark, who hasn't been the best in this series. Obviously, the first game he did okay. Excuse me. Last game he did, did well, obviously shooting the ball, but didn't do much other than that. So I don't mind getting back to him at 6K. Brooks is obviously out, so Melton and Tyus Jones are going to see a good amount of run. Obviously, Melton's gotten more expensive. He's been a little bit more involved. Played 25 minutes and then 26. He's a better shooter than Tyus. More of that shooting guard role when he's coming off the bench. So at 4,300, don't mind getting into him. Going to be a good value today, probably pretty popular. If you want to get off some of the chalk, definitely go to Tyus. 21 minutes. Nice to see his minutes come back up. 1 of 7 from the field, so didn't shoot the ball well. Still get you 12.5 fantasy points because he's going to get you a steal a game at least. He's been great at that. Some rebounds, some assists. So I do like him. With Josh struggling today, they're going to come to Tyus and Melton, and so I don't mind getting to him as a nice value play for today. Kyle Anderson might get some run, maybe 20-ish minutes. Don't think he'd go there. Steven Adams, maybe he plays. I just think Golden State's too fast for him. But if you want to take that, dart throw that he does play, close to 20 minutes, maybe he can get you there with some blocks and some rebounds. But otherwise, I don't know if you have to do it. He'll probably be super low owned. So if you do want to take that, Hail Mary dart throw on Steven Adams, I don't mind it. But I just think it's probably going to be one of those where he doesn't play much. And then Zaire Williams is going to be another super popular value play today. Played 28 minutes, obviously shot the ball pretty well from three, so his minutes did get extended a tad. I do think you should see probably 20 to 25 minutes from him. So at 3,200, obviously another value play today. So it's one of those slates where you can do a stars and scrubs approach with a lot of the value coming from this Memphis side. So if you're a one lineup guy, I would say probably go that route. But if you're a two lineup or more person, definitely do a stars and scrubs approach for one lineup and then do kind of more of a mid-range build for the other one. On the Golden State side, we have Steph. He's just too cheap. I know, with the emergence of Poole, everyone back, Steph's not the most. He's at the extreme high usage like a guy like Luka or the guy like Ja, but it's Steph at 9,200. Best shooter ever. I mean, just look at his points when he's, now that he's back in the starting lineup. Not shooting the ball well either. 8 of 20, 11 of 25, 10 of 22. As I said, weird feeling that this game is going to be blown out just because of Steph and all those guys hitting threes. So I don't mind getting the Poole, decent play off the bench. Rather get to a guy like Thompson, going to be very low owned. Has done two back-to-back bad games. 7,100. Prices stayed the same. Don't think a lot of people are going to be on him. So I don't mind getting it to him. I even don't mind getting into the, a three-person stack of the Warriors with Steph, Thompson, and Green. As I said, I have a weird feeling that this game might blow out. And so if that happens, it's most likely because of Steph, Clay, and Draymond. So I like to get into all three of them. Wiggins looks decent, 5,800. He's going to play a lot of minutes. Shooting the ball a good amount, which you do like to see in this series. He's kind of trying to take advantage of these smaller Memphis guys or the guys that are the same size as him. He's a pretty good post player, so he's done well. Obviously hasn't done well from three, but he's seen the minutes in the shot attempts, so you do like that. Otto Porter Jr. going to see probably close to 20-ish minutes, just not too involved offensively. Kuminga did see some run, about 14 minutes. If you want to take a dart throw on him, you can. Not going to be too involved in the offensive game, but he can get you some rebounds. Can score some points in the fast break. So if you want to, he'll probably be the lowest owned dart throw chalk or dart throw salary play of the day. But I wouldn't mind it. If you want to get off that chalky other the guys in the Memphis side. So as right now, this is kind of what I'm looking at. I know this is a long video and the game starts pretty soon, but just wanted to give my thoughts of, the slate, kind of the route I'm going. I think I'm going to make two lineups for today. I'm going to go more of the mid-range route and then one of the stars and scrubs, but I do think this Golden State game might get out of hand, so who knows? We'll see. But if you like the video, leave a like, comment, subscribe. We've been on a little bit of a heater. Obviously, yesterday kind of got screwed, but let's get back on the train today, and I'll have an NBA prize pick video out in a little bit. So thank you guys, and see you later. Peace.